and burn.
Hey everybody! So tonight I'm looking to discuss the 2020 film Dinner in America. Now this tells the story of Simon, who is John Q, plays John Q Public. He is the leader of the band Psyops, who, the other main character in this, Patty, they are her favorite band, and she is totally into John Q. She's always writing him letters and all this shit, sending it off to his P.O. box. And they meet up. John Q ends up having to hide from the police because of something that transpired at the start of the film. He was supposed to go back to this chick's house to have sex with her, but he ended up starting to make out with her mom, who was played, of course, by Leah Thompson. Goddamn, I had the biggest thing for her. Howard the Duck. I mean, it wasn't the best movie, but she was like smoking hot in that. So Leah Thompson's in this for like 30 seconds. So they start making out. He ends up trying to like low-key burn their house down, smashes through their front living room window. And there's a $5,000 reward for anybody who's willing to turn him in. So he meets Patty as he's hiding from the cops. And what ensues between them is like one of the most honest and cute love stories that I've seen in a movie in some time. Now, Patty has serious Dawn Wiener traits. For anybody who doesn't know who Dawn Wiener is a regular of sorts from the films of Todd Solondz. She pops up in Welcome to the Dollhouse and Wiener Dog too, if memory serves. But yeah, she has Patty is very much like Dawn Wiener. Like she's just sort of this. She lives in her own head. She's one of those people that is like not in a fantasy world, but low key in a fantasy world, and she's bullied by everybody around her. But it's John Q's music with his band Psyops, who I think the music is actually Disco Assault, who I think are from Windsor, Ontario, or at least they're currently in Windsor, Ontario. I don't know. I think the band is Disco Assault. It doesn't matter. She loves the band. The music's getting her through all of these tough times of her being picked on and feeling like an outcast. And when she meets Simon, Jesus Christ, it's too hot in here for the hat. And when she meets Simon, they just click. And he's so cool, she's so not cool, and they just get in endless amounts of trouble. The two guys, the two track star jock types that are picking on her, they destroy them after they beat the shit out of John Q, or Simon, of course. And, oh my god, they destroy them. They strip them naked, toss a dead cat on top of them, and then call them a bunch of cat fuckers and set their tracksuits on fire. So there's a lot of, like, chaos in this movie, but the love story, that's the budding love story between the two of them is just... It's so obviously the focus that all of the chaos that's going on in the background only really serves to further energize their love story. And then the other thing, using the word energized, the two leads performances, Simon and Patty, Jesus Christ, those two could not have had better chemistry, had better on-screen presence. They seem to play off of each other really well. And most of all, I believed John Q as sort of a completely permanently pissed off punk rocker, and Patty as sort of more of a punk rocker coming by way of Slater-Kinney than she is, say, the Dead Kennedys. But I believe both of them. And I think the other thing I wanted to say about this movie is I think it takes place in the 80s. Because at one point they end up back at Simon's house, and his nieces or cousins or whatever say that he looks just like one of the dirty drug addicts from their Dare books. Drug addicts share needles and give AIDS, you know. So if they're referencing back to Dare, that was an American program trying to get kids off drugs that apparently was some kind of fantastic failure too. In Canada, a ways after that, we had this thing called Racing Against Drugs or Running Against Drugs or some shit like that. I don't remember. Something like that happened up here. Nobody listened to it because everybody loves drugs. So I think this takes place in the 80s. She's always listening to cassettes. Her stereo looks old. Her bed looks old. Their fashion looks a little old. But then the cop cars don't exactly look 1980s. Now, that could have been a budgetary constraint, perhaps. I think this movie takes place in the early 80s, which I absolutely love. Again, I love that period. And I love how misunderstood Patty is. Like, she has a job at a pet store, and the boss says she's kind of slow. And she's not slow. She just gets lost in her own head, and she knows where everything is in the store. She's just not really able to show that to her boss because, again, she's so in her own head. And she thinks she's retarded. And oh my god, that's like the cutest scene in the movie. Like after they leave his house, because his sister, I think it's his sister, starts laughing at her because she doesn't know what the word pyro means. And she's like, am I a retard? And Simon's like, no, you're a fucking total punk rocker. And that is like the nicest thing I think you could say to somebody when they're feeling down about themselves. Sort of like Seinfeld, when somebody sneezes, you should say, you're so good looking. If I'm ever around anybody who says that they're feeling not so smart, I'm just going to look them straight in the eyes and say, fuck that. You're not stupid. You're a total punk rocker. And if they care about the punk thing, it'll make them feel better. And if it doesn't, it still might make them feel better because punk is cool or whatever. I don't know. Oh my God. Something just occurred to me. There's 2 cameras. I have 2 set up, and I completely neglected to go to this one. Now, you would think that after me setting it up, I would remember these things, but I'm kind of absent-minded, and I blame the mania for that. What else did I want to say about this? Oh, yeah, that's right. The totally, like, rough, lo-fi sort of Alec Empire or Aphex Twin by way of Ventolin electronic score is such a good idea. You would assume that with a punk rock movie like this that there'd be a lot of punk guitar play maybe used as elements at least of the score. But no, the score is 100% rough as fuck. Very like Alec Empire by way of the Destroyer, or like I said, Aphex Twins like Ventolin, or like the I Care Because You Do days, which I absolutely hate. God, I hate that record. But nevertheless, that sound works really well in like a punk rock movie. Having such a rough electronic score you'd think would be out of place, but Jesus Christ, did they nail it. And that's where I'm leaving it, because I kind of fucked up here. I should have been switching between the 2 cameras to keep it more interesting for you guys. For that, I definitely apologize. But that's it. I think that is everything. That's right. I also wanted to say quickly that I may edit this in earlier, that I wanted to also talk about the song that they write together, Watermelon. It's on Spotify. It's absolutely amazing. It's so much fun, and her voice fits it so well. And like I said, I'll put the link up, and oh my God, I am so absent-minded. But yeah, that's it. This movie's amazing. Just a shame that you have to go to prison to get a decent dinner in America. So yeah, that's it. I'm not switching back. I'm staying here. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for Jesus Christ, almost 9 minutes while I discuss the 2020 film Dinner in America. Like always, if you like this review or you love this movie, don't forget to go and do something nice for somebody. But never forget that you aren't retarded. That you're a fucking total punk rocker. And that's it. Have a good night.